The mountain path. Once, in a quiet village nestled at the foot of a towering mountain, there lived a traveler named Kavi. Kavi had always dreamed of reaching the peak of the mountain, a place said to offer a breathtaking view of the world and grant profound wisdom to those who reached it. For years, he had listened to stories of the summit, where the clouds touched the earth and the sun painted the sky in a golden hue. Kavi was determined to reach the top and experience this wonder for himself. One bright morning, he set out on his journey. The villagers wished him well, warning him of the difficulty of the climb, but Kavi was confident in his strength and determination. He packed a small bag, filled with food and water, and began his ascent. At first, the climb was easy. The path was wide and the air was fresh. Kavi made good progress, feeling strong and excited. The mountain seemed gentle, and he thought that perhaps the stories of its difficulty had been exaggerated. But as he climbed higher, the path became steeper and more treacherous. The trail narrowed, and the rocks became jagged. Kavi had to carefully place his feet, testing each step, as the wind howled around him. His legs began to tire, and his breath became heavier. Yet, he pressed on, determined to reach the summit. As the day wore on, Kavi encountered a particularly difficult section of the mountain. The path was blocked by a series of sharp cliffs, with only a narrow ledge to hold onto. The wind picked up, pushing against him, and the way forward seemed more dangerous than he had anticipated. He hesitated, feeling fear rise within him. But his desire to reach the top was so strong that he took a deep breath and began to climb carefully, one step at a time. Hours passed, and Kavi grew weary. His hands were scraped from holding onto rough rocks, and his feet ached from the climb. He felt frustration bubbling within him. The summit seemed so far away, and the path seemed never-ending. He had been climbing for what felt like days, and he wondered if he would ever reach the top. At that moment, an old man appeared on the path ahead of him. He was bent with age, his clothes worn and weathered, but his eyes were bright and kind. "Traveler," the old man called, "you look weary. How much further do you think you have to go?" Kavi paused, taking a moment to catch his breath. "I don't know," he admitted. "I've been climbing for so long, and it feels like the summit is always just out of reach. The path is harder than I thought. How do I keep going?" The old man smiled gently and sat down on a nearby rock. "The mountain, like life, is not about rushing to the top. It is about each step you take, no matter how small or difficult. You cannot hurry the journey, for it will only tire you further. Patience is the key. Every step you take, no matter how slow, brings you closer to your goal." Kavi felt the weight of the old man's words. "But the summit is so far away. How can I keep going when it feels like I'm not making any progress?" The old man nodded. "It is the same with life. You may not always see immediate results, but each step you take builds upon the one before it. Patience is not just waiting for the end, it is about embracing the journey, knowing that every step, no matter how difficult, is a step forward." Kavi thought about the old man's words and, for the first time in hours, he took a deep breath and let go of his frustration. He realized that he had been so focused on the summit that he had forgotten to appreciate the journey itself. With a renewed sense of calm, he began to climb once more, no longer rushing, but taking each step carefully, with patience and awareness. As the sun began to set, casting a golden light across the mountain, Kavi reached a small plateau. He looked around and realized that, though he had not yet reached the peak, he had come farther than he had expected. The path had been hard, but each step had brought him closer to his goal. The view from the plateau was stunning, and he felt a deep sense of peace, knowing that he had grown stronger with each challenge along the way. The next morning, Kavi continued his climb, but this time with a different mindset. He no longer rushed to reach the summit. Instead, he embraced each part of the journey, appreciating every step he took. The mountain, once daunting, seemed more welcoming as he moved steadily and patiently toward the top. Finally, after many days of climbing, Kavi reached the summit. The view was even more beautiful than he had imagined, and as he gazed out over the vast expanse of the world, he realized that the journey had been just as important as the destination. It was the patience, the perseverance, and the willingness to face each challenge that had made reaching the top so meaningful. He sat at the peak, feeling a deep sense of fulfillment, and smiled. The old man's words echoed in his mind, "Every step you take brings you closer to your goal." Moral: the story of the mountain path teaches us that patience is essential in achieving our goals. It's not the rush to the top that matters, but the steady progress we make along the way. Life's challenges are not obstacles to avoid, but opportunities to grow. By embracing patience, we can move through difficult times with grace, knowing that each step brings us closer to the summit. Thanks for watching. If you found this video insightful, don't forget to give it a like, share it with others who might benefit, and subscribe to the channel for more valuable content like this. Hit the bell icon so you never miss an update. See you in the next video.